Freedom Fridays. Welcome back, guys. How's it going? Hope you guys had a fantastic week. Man, we got something good in store for you guys today. If I can get my words together, it's that whole sleep thing, man. It's like this is brutal work, but I love you guys. Yeah. Anyway, what I have got right here for you guys is a chock full of goodies, if you will, right? This is great. Canadian provinces respond to federal gun confiscation plea. And basically, they told them to pound sand. It's written right there. Pound sand, right? This is great stuff. And here's the reason why. As you guys may well know, Mr. Fidel Jr. Trudeau, when that whole trucker situation was going on in the pandemic and all the lockdowns and all that stuff. I mean, shortly after that mess was like hijacked and, people were beat to death. I'm kidding. They weren't beat to death, but you know what I mean. They were beat into submission. There you go. And they basically went ahead and put that whole convoy stuff to rest. Then guess what he did? He decided that he is going to go all out Castro, since he is, Fidel's illegitimate son, and said, we're just going to ban firearm sales. Yeah, you guys are pretty much done. We're no more. And I thought that was like, I don't know. But yours truly here as an avid, CZ enthusiast, which is a model of firearm that I like, and I actually love them. CZs are fantastic. I'm in my forums and I'm just, trolling through the forums, just checking out what's up, what's going on, what new stuff they're coming out with, modifications and things like that. And some guy in this forum puts a post out there and he says, Canada no longer selling CZ firearms. And I'm like, wait, what? I'm like, because I know those guys up there, they're huge in the shooting sports arena, right? And CZ happens to be the go-to pistol. Well, one of the top contenders in the go-to pistols, to compete with. So I clicked on the link that he had shared with them, and yeah, for sure, no more sale or importation of CZ firearms in Canada. They were done. People were pissed. But anyway, now they are talking, they're having that conversation about not doing, going door to door to go and take the guns and stuff like that. No, they're going to backdoor this thing, and they are now going to do what they call a gun buyback. Yeah, you remember those gun buybacks, how they work. So technically it's confiscation. It just is, right? So what I got here in front of me today that I wanted to share with you guys is what is going on in the provinces, okay, of Canada, and how they are responding back, to the Trudeau establishment, okay, basically telling them how they feel about the whole gun buyback charade, if you will. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to prove a point here that actual gun buybacks don't work. It's really confiscation. And I'm going to use Australia as an example. Okay. And we're going to watch a film clip, okay, from a former prime minister of Australia, Mr. Rudd, okay, who's going to talk about, the whys and the benefits of doing a gun buyback program and how it worked fantastic in Australia. I mean, he left out the part that crime increased significantly after they confiscated the guns, because in the end, not only did they do a buyback, they confiscated everything else. Now, proof and point, when the pandemic was going on over there, the whole, the virus pandemic, right? The beatings by the police for the civilian population just to keep them locked up and indoors, and arresting people just for standing in front of their house. And It was nuts. It was absolutely crazy. Crime was running rampant, right? Because apparently the bad guys, the criminals that don't obey any laws, they kept their guns. Yeah, they did. No problems there at all. But the responsible citizen, no, they lost their ability, all right, to protect themselves against not only a tyrannical government, but also against your common thug. Yeah, they lost that. It was gone. So let's get started with this, shall we? Because this is great stuff, right? So this is provided by NRA-ILA, which is the Institute for Legislative Action. All right. So we get started. All right. So from Canada last week came a heartwarming story of how certain Canadian jurisdictions are responding to the central government's plea to help it implement its draconian and legally dubious firearms confiscation scheme. Tyler Shandro, the Minister of Justice and Solicitor General for the Conservative government in the Canadian province of Alberta. Okay. I don't know if that's where Tom McDonald and Nova are from. I think it is Alberta. I'm not sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. Leave comments down in the description, okay? And you guys can help me out with that. Anyway, recently tweeted a copy of an August 19th letter from Marco Mendicino, the latest federal minister responsible for implementing Prime Minister Trudeau's gun ban and confiscation. In other words, the buyback. In the letter, Mendicino asked for Shandro's support in implementing the buyback program, advising that the intent is to begin collecting prohibited firearms by the end of 2022. Now, caveat moment, prohibited firearms. Which kind of firearms are they talking about? Well, as you're going to see soon in this video clip, it's assault weapons, but which ones? Oh, no, it's not just assault weapons. It's all of them. Okay. Yes, all of them. Mendicino states that the successful implementation of the ambitious end of 2022 launch will require a collaborative, concerted effort, and that all orders of government will need to work together to ensure that the buyback program is accessible to affected Canadian firearm owners and businesses. Okay, so not only are they coming for the private citizen, okay, the individual, they are also coming for manufacturers and they're coming for retail outlets. They're basically shutting the whole thing down. All right, it's done. It's over. Now, I want to work closely with all my provincial and territorial counterparts, Mendicino writes, referring to a possible meeting to explore opportunities for partnership and collaboration that support the safe rollout of this program in your jurisdiction. If Mendicino expected that this appeal to make the gun grab accessible to affected Canadians would somehow promote cordial collaboration, he was much mistaken. Yeah, all right. Alberta is not legally obligated and will not offer any provincial resources to the federal government as it seeks to confiscate lawfully acquired firearms, begins Shandro's letter in response. The emphasis was original, right? Okay. At a press conference on September 26, Shandro was as blunt in expressing his unequivocal opposition to such partnership and indeed the entire federal program. He ain't liking it. Quote, "This is politically motivated confiscation, pure and simple. It's not a buyback program? No, it is confiscation." Man, one that will do nothing to make Alberta a safer place or to reduce the criminal misuse of firearms. In other words, the crooks, they're keeping their guns, right? And so I responded to Minister Mendicino by telling him that no, Alberta will not assist the federal government in this or any federal effort to strip lawfully obtained personal property from our residents. Shandro emphasized that the targeted firearms were acquired legally and have since been arbitrarily classified as assault-style guns. In other words, they just gave it that that phrase, okay, assault weapons. No such thing as assault weapons. It's sporting rifles if you're referring to an AR-15, AK-47, blah, 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 okay? Assault weapons was implemented by the left, okay, by these kook jobs as a fear factor, okay, a trigger word, if you will, for those that do not have any education whatsoever on classifications of firearms. Plain and simple, as stated here. That's a label designed to scare Canadians who are unfamiliar with firearms. Bingo. It is it's a capability that they possess. Indeed, hang on a second. No, it's a description based purely on their appearance and not on any unusual danger that they pose or mechanical capabilities that they possess. That's a pretty accurate description. Indeed, these guns are not materially different than any other number of semi-automatic rifles and shotguns that continue to be legal for any qualified Albertan to own. Yeah, here's where it gets really juicy. One concerning development is that staff of the Federal Ministry of Public Safety report that the federal government intends to conscript provincial RCMP, which is the Royal Canadian Mounted Police officers, into acting as confiscation agents for the so-called buyback program. All right, so basically what they're trying to, what I interpreted this at is very simple. All right, Trudeau's going to use the Royal Canadian Mounted Police as our equivalent of our 87,000 newly hired IRS agents that are packing and they have the authority to use lethal force against we the people, right? In conjunction with the ATF, all right, to do their bidding, all right, when it comes to confiscation, buyback programs, those kind of things, right? So, although the RCMP is a national police service coming under the direction of the Minister of the Solicitor General of Canada, the agency may also provide police services at provincial and local levels pursuant to police services agreement negotiated between the federal government and provinces, territories, and municipalities. In Alberta, for example, K Division, RCMP, with approximately 107 detachments across the province, currently provides policing services based on a provincial police services agreement, or the PPSA. All right. Basically call it like their charter, their union, their guidelines. This is what they operate under. Okay. Under such agreements, the province and the localities provide the funding and set the policing priorities. All right. So the RCMP is not technically, they are funded by taxpayer money, okay, of the people that reside within those provinces, within those municipalities. All right, you get the picture here? Not federally funded, locally funded by the taxpayer. Referring to the possibility of the RCMP in Alberta acting as Trudeau's confiscation agents, Shandro pointed out that Alberta taxpayers pay over $750 million per year for the RCMP and will no longer tolerate taking officers off the streets in order to confiscate property of law-abiding firearm owners. Okay? And the reason why they too have a bad deal with the people and, cancel the police and, defund the police and, we just don't want cops. They're having that problem there too as well. Gee, where does that sound familiar, huh? Yeah. So this is an international problem. It's not just here in America. It's all over the damn globe. It's the globalists wanting to take over total control. All right. One world order, call it what you will. Okay. And keep us, the little guys, enslaved, right? Yeah. All right. That message was officially communicated in letters to the commanding officer of the RCMP in Alberta and to Minister Mendicino, invoking the terms of the PPSA. Now, the federal government does not set provincial policing priorities. Moreover, the confiscation program is not an objective priority or goal of the province or the provincial police service, nor is the deployment appropriate to the effective and efficient delivery of police services under the agreement. Uh, you guys are keeping up with this, right? This gets even better. Hold on. In the event that the federal government nonetheless directs RCMP officers to confiscate firearms, okay, not a buyback, okay, as they did during the 2013 floods when the RCMP seized over 600 firearms during the notorious High River gun grab, Chandra warned that Alberta will prevent that from happening by challenging such direction or intention to take such direction using the dispute resolution mechanism that's in the PPSA. In other words, what I got out of this is that their PPSA is their version of the Second Amendment here. Okay. And that dispute resolution mechanism is their fail-safe of our version of shall not be infringed. Okay. You get that? All right. So they're basically saying, hell no, this is not happening. Now, to create even more distance between Alberta and the actions of the federal government, Chandra advised that Alberta has already notified the court of its intent to participate as an intervener in 6 currently pending legal challenges to the constitutionality of the federal gun ban and confiscation law. So they're playing hardball. Now, Alberta has also contracted government officials in other provinces with PPSAs recommending that they take similar steps to protect provincial jurisdiction and prevent political interference in RCMP operations and not waste taxpayer dollars to pay for the confiscation program that will not increase public safety. Why? Because the bad guys, they keep their guns. Remember that. The criminal, the thugs, they keep theirs. They're cool. They get a pass, in other words, right? Now, already on September 27th, the Minister of Corrections, Policing, and Public Safety in the neighboring province of Saskatchewan formally notified the commanding officer of the RCMP in that jurisdiction that the government of Saskatchewan does not support and will not authorize the use of provincially funded resources for any process that is connected to the federal government's proposed buyback, adding that we do not and will not support initiatives that only impact law-abiding RCMP, vetted hunters, sports shooters, ranchers, farmers, and others who use firearms for lawful and good reasons. They're not going to mess with the people, guys. That's what this is. Soon after Kevin Gorsuch, Manitoba's Minister of Justice and Attorney General, announced his province was following Alberta and Saskatchewan. In Manitoba, view any buyback program cannot further erode previous provincial police resources already suffering from large vacancy rates, defunding the police, from focusing on investigation of violent crime. They don't have enough bodies, law enforcement, to go around to take care of their existing problems already. All right. So we will be bringing these concerns along with the shared concern of Saskatchewan and Alberta directly to the federal government next month in meetings of ministers of justice and ministers of public safety. In Ontario, the Canadian Shooting Sports Association, here we go, I was talking about this earlier with the CZs, is urging Ontario residents to contact their premier and politely encourage them to refuse to assist Ottawa's gun confiscation efforts. Ontario provincial police are paid with Ontario tax dollars to serve Ontarians, not Ottawa's lackeys. Uh-oh, that was a poke in the ribs. Now, Chandra's defiant letter to Mendocino, rejecting the possibility of any cooperation or support, concludes with a fitting prediction. And it goes, preliminary estimates suggest that you will need to confiscate over 30,000 firearms in Alberta alone. We believe that Public Safety Canada does not have the capacity, wherewithal, or the resources to seriously attempt this effort. And much like the Long Gun Registry, we believe your efforts will fail in the face of opposition from the public. I mean, holy smokes. Can you say that really sucks? Well, in any event, guys, let's go ahead and play that video clip. All right. And That video clip is talking now about Australia. Okay. Why, if we're talking about Canada, why is Australia coming into the picture? Because Australia also fed this narrative, okay, that the Canadians are feeding the people for a gun buyback program, which in essence turned into gun confiscation. Okay. And what happened is when they confiscated the guns and they were gone, crime went through the roof because, again, the bad guys kept their weapons. And then the shit really hit the fan when the pandemic hit. Okay. I mean, these people over there in Australia are like defenseless. And there is a ton of videos right here on YouTube out there about what took place during the pandemic over in Australia with the violence, and the actual citizens of Australia pissed off and complaining about, we should have never gave up the guns. We were stupid to do so because of one nut job that decided to shoot up a school. Okay. One nut job. This is where all this came from. Okay. I mean, get real, guys. I mean, you guys live in a penal colony. All right. And you guys got that after our revolution was done because the British gave you that. You guys inherited that. So yeah, it's the narrative fits with this Rudd guy talking about, yeah, we don't need the guns. And now he's like talking about how America doesn't need the guns here either, that it's stupid. But yet this guy lives here in America. Well, if it's so good, okay, why aren't you not in Australia? Anyway, let's go ahead and check out this video clip and I'll come back to you.
Motion on Capitol Hill today on guns, but not a ton of movement. There appears to be some agreement in the Senate, but what they agree on is hardly game-changing. It's a narrowly tailored bill to better enforce current background check law. So, with meaningful congressional action on gun restrictions seemingly at a standstill, some frustrated Americans are asking if other countries can serve as an example. During last week's White House listening session on school safety, one survivor of the Parkland, Florida massacre looked to Australia.
In Australia, there was a shooting at a school in 1999. After that, they took a lot of ideas, they put legislation together, and they stopped it. Can anyone here guess how many shootings there have been in the schools since then in Australia? 0.
It was 35 people who died in that mass shooting that he was referring to in Australia. It was in 1996, not 1999. Afterwards, under a conservative prime minister, automatic and semi-automatic rifles were banned in Australia. They enacted a national registry and a 28-day waiting period for all gun purchases. And 650,000 firearms were taken out of circulation in a national buyback program. But Australia, of course, doesn't have a right to bear arms in their constitution. They also don't have a powerful gun lobby like the NRA. But could Australia's model still have some legs in the United States, say on semi-automatic weapons or something like that? Joining me now, former Prime Minister of Australia, Kevin Rudd. He's now president of the Asia Society Policy Institute. Prime Minister Rudd, welcome to the show, sir.
Good to be on your program.
All right. It is easy for me to say all the different ways what you guys did in Australia can't happen, can't work here in the United States. The biggest one being our Constitution. You don't have a right to bear arms in yours. We do. But what would you argue is what do you believe is transferable from what you guys went through to what we're experiencing now?
Well, when my predecessor, a conservative, John Howard, enacted legislation to ban all automatic and semi-automatic weapons from sale in Australia and from importation to Australia, he had national consensus behind him. Even the Sporting Shooters Association of Australia, our equivalent of the NRA, got behind it. The other thing we did was fund a national gun buyback scheme, which basically took out about 1/5 the entire gun stock from the country. So looking at America, and I've lived here now for 3 years, the problem you have is you've got this whole debate about mental health checks, fine. But I think if you really want to arrest the rate of mass shootings, you've got to do something directly about automatic and semi-automatic weapons. Because their ability to just cause mass carnage within a few seconds is there, and it's transparent for us all to see. We saw it in Australia once or twice before 1996, and then we acted. I cannot see how a similar action was taken here. that the Supreme Court of this country would say that the right to bear a semi-automatic weapon is going to offend your Second Amendment rights? I don't think so.
Well, look, there is a lot of people who look at one decision that was made. It's called the Heller decision, that they essentially overturned a gun ban in Washington, in the city of Washington, D.C., as sort of a precedent that says gun bans will never be constitutional.
But that's just a nonsense. Anti-tank weapons,
Yeah.
Field artillery, why not just a tactical nuke in terms of the right to bear arms? It's a nonsense. The only people who actually have a right to use or be in possession of automatic and semi-automatic weapons are members of our military. That's what they're there for. I grew up on a farm in rural Australia. We had lots of wild animals around the place. My father had a single gauge shotgun, which he used infrequently, often using the butt of the rifle rather than the shooting bit. And frankly, we're supposed to have the most dangerous, most poisonous critters in the world in our country. I don't see how anyone in this country has a legitimate need for one of these pump action machines.
You're not the only Australian that looks at us and says, "Boy, you guys have a gun culture here." You guys don't have the same gun culture. Now, some would argue that one of the reasons why we have it in our Constitution is it was written in response to a revolution, and you didn't have that same experience when your Constitution was written.
Yeah, but if the British come back, you actually don't need a semi-automatic to deal with it. Can I just say that? Things have rolled on.
That's true. I don't think it's the British we have to worry about.
I understand the reason for militia. I'm a student of the Revolutionary War. Full marks to you guys for winning. In fact, because you won, they set up a convict colony in our part of the world.
Well, there you go.
That's where I got sent. That's just a byproduct. But the bottom line is this. To think that you are now helpless as a nation to change the laws, I think is just dead wrong, given where the Supreme Court could and should go in the future on any challenge to getting rid of semi-automatic weapons. Can you see the Supreme Court bench standing up there in Washington, D.C. and saying, we're defending semi-automatic weapons possession for you, Joe Slobodnik, out there, because of your Second Amendment rights? I don't think so.
Well, you came up with an important point. You have to have a national consensus first before you can institute something like this. How did the gun buyback program, it sounds like it's still a rolling program. Explain how that worked and how you did entice people. I mean, how much money did they get?
Well, basically, I think it was kind of an equation of the original purchase price of the weapon. And when you say there is no gun culture in Australia, well, there is a little bit. We're a rural country. We're a frontier country. My state of Queensland, which is a rural part of Australia, 2/3 of us live outside the cities. And so that's where we live and have our being. And so there's a culture which says, I may need a rifle on my farm to deal with, wild animals or stuff that's going to affect the stock or rip things to pieces. That's fine. But if you ask your average farmer or your average sporting shooter who shoots clay targets and whatever, do they need a semi-automatic? Even those guys in my country, including my father and all those before him, would say, you're nuts.
What else did you do to address people's concerns on security? Because some of this has to do with, well, I don't know if I can trust the government to keep me safe.
Well, I think in this country you've suffered from sort of half a century of government bashing. Basically, government equals evil equals bad, and therefore we can't trust them with anything. I mean, that is a deep cancer in this society which you can turn around. But I think there's a bit of a national learned helplessness syndrome here in the United States about this. You can do it, guys. It's the United States of America, the leader of the free world.
We can do anything we want.
You can change your laws. And, those of us who live here actually would like to see you do it.
I always love getting a perspective on us from the outside, from people going, why aren't you tackling this?
Yeah, but we like this country. There's so many good things in America. This is just nuts.
Well, we get most things right.
Yeah, you do.
Kevin Rudd, it's nice meeting you. Thanks for coming in.
Good to be with you.
And talking this through. Much appreciated.
So there you have Mr. Rudd. Okay. What'd you think about this guy, right? What a real piece of work. Just a couple of things I wanted to say based on what he just got through babbling about, okay? It makes no sense. It just makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. A, why is he living here in America? If it's so good over in Australia, goodbye, leave. Okay? What are you doing? Are you enjoying, our Second Amendment here? Are you enjoying our freedom here? Okay, because you don't have it over there anymore. I mean, I know people from Australia, okay, that are here, okay, that are one in particular is moving back because of family and things like that. I get that, which is totally fine. But we've had conversations, and he's told me about this Rudd guy, okay, and what a POS this guy is, all right, and how bad it got over there when they confiscated the guns, okay, over one liberal idiot that was masked as a conservative. Okay, so that was another fact check by me bullshit call. All right, plain and simple. We have those guys here. I mean, what's the douchebag's name up there in New York State? Okay, who's running under the R? Okay, the Republican, the one that, wants to get rid of the guns also as well. Every country has one of those guys. Trust me. Okay, but this guy is completely stupid and he's an idiot. Guys, listen, the bottom line here is simply this. And by the way, if you're getting value out of this video, please smash that like button, share and subscribe to the channel. You'd be doing us a great, great favor by doing that, and supporting us. There's, buy me a coffee. All the links are down in the description below. Please leave comments by all means, okay? Because I would love to get your feedback and your take on this video. But look, the bottom line is this. At the end of the day, they don't want you armed. That's just it. Okay. And the one thing that they're attacking is, the AR-15, because there's millions of them in the hands of we the people, and it scares them. All right. It literally scares the hell out of them. All right. So they don't want you armed. They want to be in control. They want to take total, complete control, okay, of we the people. So I hope you guys got a lot out of this. I hope it was informational and entertaining. And again, all I can tell you is stay vigilant, stay strapped, keep your powder dry. All right. And I don't know, man. I don't know. Just share and like the hell out of this thing. We are on a mission to get to 1,000 subs yesterday because I want to monetize this channel really, really bad, man. So I can just plug in all the other benefits that I want to bring you guys, and just keep having some fun at it. Make sure that you hit up Jeff over there in his channel, just to let you guys know I am going to be doing another collaboration with him over the weekend, and doing some more Tom McDonald stuff. So I'm looking very much forward to that. Hangover gang, baby. That's right. In the meantime, enjoy, stay safe, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.